Thanks indeed for investing your time with us. The program is still this morning on ITV. It's now time for us to look at aviation, one wonderful sector that's so beautiful when you conquer the sky. You know, when God made man, those of us who appear to be somewhat theological in our thinking and perception, when he made man, he gave man dominion over everything, over land, over sea, and as well as the sky. One area where man had conquered the sky is that of aviation. We conquered the sea via the issue of the marine sector. Land, we are always on land, conquering any area of land we think is ideal for us. But conquering the sky largely is through the invention of airplanes, which is what many persons see as one that shows dominance in the sky. Although some countries appear to have more firepower on the sky, in the sky than even somehow more than other. But today, I want to come back and talk aviation, one very all-important switch sector. You know, when you just go in, okay, the details of Mr. Godwin NK is on the screen there for you to follow through. We always give this for you to follow through. Let's make the program like a dialogue, like what we can participate in. Even after the program, we can still follow all those social media platforms, even our GSM numbers, and let's start to engage Mr. Godwin NK. Let's bring issues to the fore. Let's start to talk and ask ourselves very sensitive questions here about how best we can grow our aviation sector. Mr. Godwin NK is in the studio with me. Wonderful morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Nata.
Wonderful morning, sir.
How was your weekend?
We thank God the weekend was fine. The rain is still coming down. The Hamatan is delaying. October is already going deep. Today is day 4. The cloud is still in the sky.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, it tells you that the issue of climate change is real. And the earlier we believe and understand it, the better for every one of us. The climate is changing by the day, and the seasons appear to be changing as well.
Okay, as the climate changes, let's hope that we will be changing as well for good. This morning we'll be looking at airport
air travels and the challenges of disability. I tell you what, part 1.
Some countries have gone past that stage.
That's correct.
I know in most airports across the world, when you go, you just discover that everything they do, the three categories: male, female, and disability.
Very honestly,
but for us, we are still dangling at the bottom.
You will hear something today.
Okay.
3 groups got together. You know, 3 groups of different associations. Through which the disabled amongst us are venting, their anger and ideas and stuff. They got together on Friday. As a matter of fact, invited me to LAPS New World Hotel at Jabi in Abuja, and they held a press conference, and it was so well attended that I was shocked that you could assemble those number of cameras and pressmen and women in one hall. I've never seen it in recent times. It was well attended by the media, and and then the people read out what we were there for, and I listened, and after which I gave them my counsel based on what I know that happened during the Montreal Convention, and so they were quite thrilled about the new piece of information that I gave to them. But what we're going to do today is to take through and see what they're saying and the challenges they're having in Nigeria. And then by next week, when we do part 2, we'll look at the global norm, what's happening globally, especially in the advanced countries. And then, of course, we'll be concluding with part 3 and then put an end to this. So let's get to clip 1 very quickly, and then we'll take it from there. Clip 1, after we are there. Yes. Clip 1, preamble. And, of course, it's titled The Press Statement by Officials of the Cedar Seed Foundation, CSF, Inclusive Friends Association, IFA. Those are the associations that came together. And Association of Women with Disabilities International, or the preamble. On Friday, 1st November 2019, at the conference hall of LAPS New World Hotel, Jabi, Abuja, FCT, Nigeria. 3 associations piloting the affairs of persons living with disabilities in Nigeria met with the Nigerian press, print and electronic media to ventilate their dehumanizing experiences with both local and international airlines operating in Nigeria. Represented by Grace Jerry, Executive Director of Inclusive Friends Association, IFA. You are going to see the photographs of these lovely women who are challenged, physically. And, yeah. So, I'll take this again. Represented by Grace Jerry, Executive Director of Inclusive Friends Association, IFA. Lois Alta, Executive Director of Cedar Seed Foundation. And Patience Ogolo Dixon, Executive Director of Association of Women with Disabilities International, ALDI. The 3 powerful women with disabilities put it bluntly to the government of Nigeria and indeed the world that they have had enough of the dehumanizing, debasing, and insulting experiences at Nigerian airports and called on government and all aviation stakeholders to stop the unacceptable treatment. Can we go quickly to clip 2? Are we there?
Go ahead.
Right.
That's clip 2.
Yep. Beaming the light on social injustices. We are still continuing with the press statement by officials of those 3 associations mentioned. Speaking one after the other, the women and some male colleagues of theirs beamed the light on what they described as the social injustices persons with disabilities face in Nigeria, especially in accessing means of transportation for business, study, conference, etc. And I want to add to it leisure. They have a right to leisure. They said that over the years, persons with disabilities have had to cope with a great deal of inconveniences and discomfort as passengers with disabilities from boarding to disembarking. The aisle to the seats in the plane is not designed to accommodate wheelchairs. That means reduce mobility. Okay. As a result, their movement while on board is forcefully restricted. Although grateful that they are usually assisted to board first, they are usually forced to alight last after all passengers, regardless of how urgent the need may be. You get that?
Very clearly.
Those who use electric wheelchairs are not allowed to board with their wheelchairs, as the airlines erroneously, in their own language, in the language of the group, they said the airlines erroneously claim the batteries of the wheelchairs are explosive devices. And in putting away the electric wheelchairs, airline officials...
Would they put it as luggage? You can't even fly with it at all.
I really do not get that completely right. But what they are saying is right from the point of checking in, they take away their motorized wheelchair from them and then give them some rickety manual push, wheelchair.
They will likely assemble that one and put as luggage.
Maybe, but very often, more often than not, they have them destroyed, especially the joystick. You know, some of these electric wheelchairs have
control button.
Yes.
Control button.
Well, it's a joystick that makes you can turn just like you fly the airplane. That's exactly how that system works to move you left, right, forward, and backward. That's so it's actually a joystick. So they often have them destroyed. I don't know why that particular element of the wheelchair, is prone to destruction.
Because it's delicately positioned
at
the front, and if you don't guide it very well, a small pressure on it will make it destroy. Because it's just like a little knob here, you just a little forward, a little backward, left and right, and you just keep regulating your movement. So once that thing is not properly packaged and kept carefully, once you press on it, and the way it is designed, it's electrically positioned to touch very good sensor and move on. But once it is
And then my imagination is that the staff of airlines working at the airports are not yet properly trained.
Here,
yes, how to handle them here. It's all part of the problem with our attitude. I keep saying everything can be done in this country, but we have a horrible, horrible attitude that we need to kill. That's the difference. It's not about money. It's not about our skins. It's nothing but attitude that we've grown up with that we must jettison. Let's get on with it because we have about 6 clips to go. So I stopped at being after all passengers, regardless of how urgent the need may be. Those who use electric wheelchairs are not allowed to board with their wheelchairs, as the airlines erroneously claim the batteries of the wheelchairs are explosive devices. And in putting away the electric wheelchairs, airline officials more often than not destroy them. Yeah, so let's go to clip 3. Are we there? Good.
I went to ask clip 3, okay, that's
yes. Stay beaming light on the social injustice continues. Speaking further, they complain that most often passengers with disabilities are left stranded and frustrated on arrival at their destination. Some airlines are said to audaciously reject passengers with disabilities who may be traveling without an aid. They cited the Nigerian Disability Act of 2019, which provides that all means of transportation be made accessible with facilities that will guarantee that all PWDs, that's people with disabilities, that's the meaning of PWDs, use them with no difficulties. We're very good at making laws. All the beautiful laws are here. But who enforces them? And who makes sure that these laws are obeyed? Now, here we are. We have an act.
And the act is kept somewhere.
Yes. As fresh as 2019. And nobody appears to be enforcing them. And these people are going through excruciating and disgraceful time. As a matter of fact, one lady, a married woman, beautiful. You're going to see her photo as we go. Well, you know, describe how once some young men were, you know, lifting her and holding her around her groin, and you know, yes, and touching her in a manner that they shouldn't, and it's quite demeaning. It's quite demeaning. We must take a look at some of these things as a people and begin to get serious. Right, let's move to, and then if you look at the photo on that clip 3, well, you're going to see more of it later on. Let's just move on. Let's move on. Clip 4, the PWD's recommendations, people with disabilities recommendations. This ill treatment of, I'm quoting them, that's why you have you know, the mark there showing this is a quotation. Yeah. This ill treatment of PWDs in Nigeria undermines our individual as well as collective dignity as humans. We cannot be subjected to these kinds of treatments anymore. We therefore call on all local and international airlines in Nigeria to provide the following to ensure equality of treatment and non-discrimination against all PWDs in Nigeria. Number 1, all local, these are conditions they are now giving and actually demanding, you know, that they want to see, you know, with the airlines and our airports in the whole of this country. Number 1, all local and international airlines must provide lift trucks to board PWDs into the aircraft and provide same when disembarking. So they don't want to be carried there anymore.
We have that.
We probably don't. So what's FAN doing? FAN should be able to buy those and let them out to airlines. If they have passengers that are, you know, physically challenged, they come pay money and take them and offer service free to the passengers. This is how it should work. But it would appear that nobody's giving this a thought in FAN. But anyway, let's move on. Number 2, all local airlines must provide aisle chairs to convey PWDs, especially those on wheelchairs, to their seats on board the airplane. Can you imagine, Arthur? I mean, you and I have traveled severally. And you know how it is, whether you are sitting on the high chair or you're sitting in the middle or you're sitting up by the window, when you are pressed, you get up freely, get to the aisle and walk down the tail of the airplane to access the toilets and ease yourself. Imagine for 1 second that you're crippled, you're unable to walk, and there is no wheelchair on the aisle of the airplane to enable you, roll yourself, or if it is motorized, ride yourself, to the toilet facilities, and then, crawl into the toilet and help yourself. Imagine for 1 second, if they are pressed, they need somebody to carry them off their seats and carry them like baggages all the way to the toilet and get them seated. Come on. Something should be done. I know how they feel. And you know what's really, really, really shocking that people are not thinking about? Every one of us on this earth is a potential candidate.
We are disabled.
No, what I'm saying, potential candidate, it takes just one accident, one illness, just one little thing somewhere, you are crippled and you are counted in. So let nobody be big-headed about it. Anybody can be a member. So the earlier we think this way, the better we begin to consider how to make them feel more like humans than anything else. So let's get to number 3. All airlines that have discriminated or subjected PWDs to ill treatments must offer apologies. These are the people demanding.
But do we have their records?
They do. Oh, yeah, they told their stories, on Friday. I was there live. They invited me, and I attended, and I was there, and I have graphic information about everything that they said there. Trust me, I don't attend any function and miss a letter, not a single letter.
That's good.
So, all airlines that have discriminated or subjected PWDs to ill treatments must offer apologies to Nigerian PWDs in both mainstream and social media platforms. These are some of their demands. Let's run to clip 5 very quickly. Are we there? Clip 5. Wonderful. Number 4. Airline, yes, we are still going on with recommendations. Airlines must provide airlift free of charge. That's their demand. Yeah. They talked about one of their members, known as Freaky Andy, was asked to pay for the use of an amber lift in one of the African countries. And so, I advise them, as soon as we go through the clips, one more clip to go, we'll be able to do some more conversations, and I'll tell you what my advice to them was. Number 5, all passenger assistance services in Nigeria should never be paid for by persons needing assistance to board, example, PWDs, that's the persons with disabilities, medical reasons, and the elderly. When they get help at all airports, nobody should ever dare talk about charges. It should be declared in all airports and all airlines in Nigeria. Number 6, airport authorities should scan personal wheelchairs but allow clients to use their chairs until they board, as these are extensions of body function. I agree with them. I agree completely. All airlines operating in Nigeria must produce a technical directive for managing PWDs and passengers needing assistance as part of their official procedures. In addition, this directive cannot be made without all PWDs cluster inputs. So let's move to clip 6 very quickly. Clip 6.
Okay, that.
No. These are some of the photographs. Look at all pressmen who, I counted about 15 cameras, because at this point when I started taking this, it occurred to me to begin to take these photographs. Some of them had dismantled. That was shortly after I had spoken. Okay. Yeah. Keep rolling. Roll us to clip 6 very quickly.
That's clip 6.
Yeah. Okay. Number 8. All airport and airline officials must be trained to handle assistive travel, including using the right terms. Their names they don't want to be called. And I don't want to say it, but
they don't want to be called disabled.
That's correct. Their names they don't want to be called. So use the right terms, and people must be trained to know what to say. And so the right terms and carrying procedures, etc. Technical assistance can be provided for these by organizations of persons with disabilities. Number 9, we request an overhaul of rusty and rickety airport wheelchairs. It's a shame that we still have airport wheelchairs rusty and rickety. And what exactly is wrong with us? Our brains are as white as that of the white man. So the pigment that makes us look darker can make this kind of difference in the attitude we show and the insensitivity that we show in things that we should take seriously. Why should we have those kind of wheelchairs in our airports? It's a shame, big shame. And FAM must do something immediately. Number 9, we request an overhaul of rusty and rickety airport wheelchairs. Throw some of them away. These are the people saying, not Godike saying. Throw some of them away as they are old and bad. Some of them have no brakes. Shameful, quite shameful. 10, airlines need to strengthen their communication system by way of connecting staff, captain and crew members. There seems to be a disconnect from the bookings to the front desk and the cabin crew. One of them actually, from the cabin crew attending to the PWDs, one of them actually told the story of how he booked, made it clear that he was a person with disability, and by the time he got to the counter to check in, they didn't have information about her. And, I mean, so the thing, there's a communication gap somewhere, and somebody has got to work on it. In conclusion, they are the ones also making this conclusion. We believe we are first humans, male and female, before we had different forms of disabilities. Treat us equally and provide all necessary accommodations that would enable us enjoy every privilege and right we paid for on your airline. Those are the demands of these lovely people. Let's begin to run through the photographs. Look at that. You can see the women, those 3 women, sitting around there. The one with the microphone is known as Florence Marcus, and she's a lawyer. Barrister Florence Marcus. That's the one in black, right opposite us. Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see her?
Yeah.
Yes. She was the one speaking at the time I took this photograph. Get rolling with the photos. Let's see as much as we can before time chases us away from here. And those are your colleagues, the press men and women who attended in their numbers. As a matter of fact, half of them had left at the point I took this photograph. Okay. Still, the pressmen sitting around, on both sides. Excuse me. On both sides of the. And there you go, Madam Grace Jerry. That's the one holding the microphone. One of the leaders of the three associations.
Wasn't that you there, the other extra?
Sorry?
Was it? Were you the one there?
No.
Okay.
Because I was the one taking these photos, I couldn't get myself, but that's fine. I was sitting next to Madam Lois. The first woman you're looking at there, looking as if she was in pensive mood. That's Madam Lois Outer. I was sitting right next to her, and if you see the way the photograph came, you will see that she's the number 1 captured after me. Yeah, that's correct. So, so that's Madam Lois Outer.
Outer.
Yes, of Cedar Seed Foundation, and then I'm trying to remember the. Run this photograph, because I have one of the pictures that has this lady's name on it. Run through quickly. Let's see the other ones. One of them actually bears a name. My memory is failing me right now, with her name. What's wrong with running through these photographs? Run through quickly.
Can we run through very quickly?
Right.
Okay, let's...
There it goes. Ogolo. Patience, Madam Patience Ogolo. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where we are. The women and some of the men there told horrible stories about their experiences at our airports, and some of them in some African airports. Then I advised them. I said, listen, the reason the airlines will not be sensitive at the moment is that the Montreal Convention gave airlines liabilities only to death. If anyone dies in their airplane, they are bound to pay, compensation. If there's an injury, if something happens and you're injured, the airlines pay compensation. If you lost your, rather, if you lose your baggage, so baggage loss is also due for compensation. Those are the three main items that, and this is international law. As a matter of fact, any country that signs on, like Nigeria also signs, and you're a member of ICAO, that's the International Civil Aviation Organization, that law supersedes even your constitution. And so the airlines know that if they hurt your feelings, you can't sue them for having your feelings hurt. You can't. Even if you do, it will get you nowhere. And because airlines know this, they're insensitive. So I advise them, listen, this problem will not be solved in a year. It may not be solved in 2 years, maybe, but let's get started somewhere. Someday it will be solved. They must take home this message to International Civil Aviation Organization right here in Canada and lay down. But first of all, reach out to all your African, colleagues there, because they have all these groups all over Africa. Reach out to them, come as one body, have your executives for that singular body that holds all of you together all in Africa, and then head out to Canada and make it clear that the airlines must be told that your feelings are your assets.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gordon N.E.K. Our time is already fast spent. We thank you for coming on the show. We hope that we do something fundamental. The first thing, the takeaway, as I draw this to a close here, is that those with disability are also humans. We must see them as humans, as part of us here, and every one of us is a potential person with disability. Just an accident, a sickness, or whatever, you can find to wheelchair, and that time you start to advocate and agitate here, and we want to do that. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Yeah.
So this is part one. Next week, we're going to look at part two.
Okay, by virtue of how the films comes in our movie industry, part two are always tougher than part one. So let's keep it together. We'll take a break. When we come back from the break, I will be on set here, and I will be discussing on the issue of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, that is already having a running battle with the president, with the federal government, over the issue of the IPP-IX after this break.